Please divorce your husband. At the OBGYN clinic where I went for a post-pregnancy checkup, I was called in by the doctor alone and told to get a divorce. Confused and without understanding why, the doctor revealed something shocking. Your husband's visit to this hospital wasn't his first. In fact, he has been here several times, and each time with a different pregnant woman. He had impregnated multiple women and then had them all get abortions. The doctor then shared even more astonishing news with me. Hearing those words, my anger towards my husband erupted. I couldn't believe he had been cheating on me and deceiving other women, getting them pregnant, and then forcing them to have abortions. I vowed to make my husband regret his actions and to seek revenge. I am Miranda, 31 years old. I work as a preschool teacher at a nearby daycare center. I met Henry during a mixer in college. Being shy, I had always found it difficult to talk to men, so much so that I didn't have any male friends, let alone a boyfriend. While everyone seemed to be getting into relationships in college, my friends worried about me since I didn't have any such rumors around me and invited me to the mixer. But I wasn't keen on large social gatherings and honestly didn't want to go. While I was thinking about leaving early, Henry sat next to me. Henry was outgoing and good at making conversation. He was the life of the party, and I was nervous when he spoke to me. However, talking to Henry was easy, and time flew by when we were together. Miranda, I'd like to get to know you better. Would you like to exchange contact information? Happy, I exchanged numbers with him. After several dates, our relationship naturally developed. And we got married 6 months later. I thought we would continue to have happy times after marriage, but that was not the case. It was a month and a half after we got married. When work ended, I noticed a message from Henry. He said he was bringing some colleagues home today and asked me to prepare dinner. There were only 2 hours left until Henry's return home. I didn't have enough groceries, and even if I rushed to shop and prepare, I honestly didn't have enough time. I hurried home to prepare the meal, but it wasn't ready in time, and Henry arrived with 3 colleagues while I was still cooking. What's the deal? Dinner's not ready yet. You're really slow, aren't you? Sorry. I rushed to prepare after work. Please, make yourselves comfortable until it's ready. Despite feeling upset by Henry's words, I hurried to prepare the meal. But Henry continued to belittle me afterward. My wife isn't great at household chores, and she's slow at work too, it's quite troublesome. But that's what you find cute about her, right? Well, yeah. I don't like women who are too proud and self-reliant, it's bothersome. But it's also frustrating when someone can't do anything right. I was infuriated by Henry's laughing remarks. If he had told me the day before, I could have prepared, but there's no way I could make it in time if he tells me right after work ends. I need to think about the menu and go shopping. I wish I could tell him to consider that I work too, but being timid, I couldn't say anything. Even after that, he kept praising and criticizing female colleagues, throwing around insensitive comments during the meal. I realized then that Henry might be prideful or unconsciously making sexist remarks. He seemed uncomfortable with the idea of women appearing superior to men and would casually express that, leaving me feeling uneasy but unable to do anything but listen in silence. Months into the marriage, I started to notice Henry's behavior more. It was clear he was overly familiar with women. He had invited female colleagues home several times, and there was a lot of physical contact. On weekends, he would go out for meals or barbecues with colleagues, and the photos he showed me were always with young and attractive female employees. Though I felt uneasy, I thought I might be overthinking and didn't say anything. However, 5 months after the wedding, I witnessed something definitive. It was a day off, and Henry had said he was going out with friends, so I spent the day relaxing alone. While I was at the salon and shopping, I saw someone who looked just like Henry coming out of a designer store, arm in arm with a woman, walking intimately. My heart sank at the sight. I didn't want to believe Henry was cheating, but I couldn't dismiss my suspicions after seeing that. I discreetly followed them and heard Henry and the woman's voices. Thanks for the bag today. It's nothing, just a little something. I've booked a restaurant for lunch, shall we go? Wow, I'm so happy. Henry, you're really good at treating a lady. Why aren't you married? Why's that, I wonder? Maybe it's just not meant to be. But I'm glad I met Mary. I'm glad I met you too, Henry. Their conversation sounded like they were lovers, not just acquaintances. Moreover, Henry lied about not being married, so it was definitely cheating. The moment I realized that, I felt as if the blood drained from my head. Sure, Henry was good with women, and it seemed like he was experienced with dating. I thought he was experienced, but he always treated me with care. We had an intimate relationship, and I thought we got along well as a couple. Yet, I never imagined he would cheat. When I confronted Henry after he came home that day, he looked puzzled. Are you sure you didn't mistake someone else for me? Why would I cheat? But I saw it. I heard your voice, there's no mistake. There are plenty of guys who look like me. Why would I cheat when I have you, Miranda? Doesn't it sound strange? Henry embraced me gently. Thinking that he might be holding his affair partner the same way made me feel sick, and I pushed him away. Don't touch me. Don't get so angry. You don't have any proof, right? If you keep acting like this, I'll be the one who's hurt. His apologetic look made me speechless. But now, all his words and expressions seemed like an act. Thinking back, he was always on his phone at home and made sure I could never see it. There were many signs of cheating, but without proof, I couldn't press any further. All I could do was cry. 2 weeks later, I started feeling nauseous and unwell, so Henry and I went to the hospital, where I found out I was pregnant. You can have your checkups at a clinic closer to home instead of here. What do you want to do? Could we go to the East Clinic near the subway for convenience? When I said this, Henry suddenly choked. East Clinic? Can't we just continue here? It'll be hard to come here when my belly gets bigger, and you won't be with me every time. It's going to be tough to come to this general hospital regularly. The tests and checkups don't always require a hospital visit. How about another clinic? The other clinics are a bit far. I heard from the parents at the daycare that East Clinic has a good reputation, so I thought I'd go there if I got pregnant. Yeah, I see. Henry's face twitched as he fell silent. I felt something was off, and the reason became clear when we went to the East Clinic. On the day of the regular checkup, when I asked Henry to come with me because it was my first pregnancy, he refused. Why were you okay with going to the general hospital, but not the East Clinic? Well, that place is a bit, you know. It's my first time giving birth, and I'm anxious. Won't you come with me? After saying that, Henry, seemingly unable to refuse any longer, reluctantly agreed. We checked in and proceeded with the tests. While waiting to hear the test results, my name was called. As Henry and I tried to enter the consultation room, a nurse stopped him. Sorry, the doctor would like to speak with the wife alone first. The nurse's evasive words made me anxious that something was wrong. With trepidation, I entered the consultation room where a stern-faced doctor was seated. Is there a problem? No. The baby is doing fine. Then why was I called in alone? I hesitantly asked, and after a moment of contemplation, the doctor spoke as if making a difficult decision. Please divorce your husband. What? Why would you say that? I'm sorry, this may be overstepping, but there's a potential for serious trouble if things continue as they are. What the doctor told me next was shocking. Your husband's visits to this hospital weren't his first. In fact, he has been here several times, each time with a different pregnant woman. Could it be a case of mistaken identity? No, there's no mistake. A few months ago, there was a commotion with a woman who wanted to keep her baby at the last minute. Your husband was the man involved. Initially, it seemed the woman came with her mother, but she became agitated, insisting on keeping the baby. And when she demanded the father be called to the hospital, Henry was the one who showed up. Apparently, he ended up paying her to go through with the abortion reluctantly, and the incident left a strong impression on the staff. That's why there's no mistaking Henry. And upon checking, we found that he had convinced several other women to get abortions before. His reputation is not good. The nursing staff was worried, if you didn't know. Looking around, I saw the nurses in the room avoiding my gaze. A middle-aged nurse approached me and took my hand. I've been cheated on too. The other woman got pregnant, and there was a huge mess with alimony and divorce. It was really tough, emotionally. I didn't want you to go through what I did. The nurse apologized for being intrusive. Touched by her kindness and shocked by the revelation, I felt tears welling up. Then, the doctor whispered something to me that only I could hear, adding insult to injury. And there's a problem with the person he just made abort. I gasped at the words that followed. That's criminal. Before things escalate, it might be best to get a divorce. I was speechless. Not only had he impregnated many women and coerced them into abortions, but he had also committed crimes of a severe nature. I could no longer remain his wife. I resolved to give birth and raise this child on my own. As I left the consultation room, Henry approached me anxiously. Everything okay? Yes. I'm fine. That's good to hear. I'm looking forward to our baby being born. Henry's insincere smile made me feel nauseous. He had made many women abort, and yet he could still smile. Had our roles been slightly different, he would have coldly told me to abort as well. Thinking about how the other women must have felt stirred a deep anger within me. I couldn't let Henry get away with this any longer. For the sake of those deceived by Henry and to make him regret his actions, I decided to seek revenge. I began preparing for both my revenge and the birth. Soon, the time to give birth arrived. Being my first childbirth, I endured excruciating pain for 12 hours. But when I saw my daughter, all the fatigue vanished, replaced by overwhelming joy. I resolved to devote my life to this child. The next day, Henry visited my hospital room. Congratulations on your childbirth. Sorry about yesterday, I just couldn't get away from work. I responded nonchalantly to Henry, who seemed apologetic. He probably thinks my curt attitude is because he missed the birth. He apologized repeatedly, but I didn't care about that. So, where's the baby? I want to see her face. I can't let you meet her. What? Why would you say that? Henry was confused as I handed him the divorce papers. Divorce me. What? Why all of a sudden? Are you suspecting me of cheating again? Or is it because I couldn't be there for the birth? Such a trivial thing. Yes, I suspect you of cheating. With that, I pulled out some photos from my bag and showed them to Henry. They were all pictures of Henry walking intimately with different women. And that's more than one woman. I had a detective agency investigate because I thought you were cheating. You were seeing multiple people, weren't you? That's not true. These people are colleagues from work or acquaintances from my student days. I was just giving them advice. I'm not cheating. Why don't you trust me? Henry yelled, slamming the table with force. I feel bad for making you anxious and for my suggestive actions. But really, there's nothing going on. Believe me. I was appalled by Henry's laughing demeanor. He must have deceived people like this before. But I wasn't going to be fooled any longer. To prove I knew Henry's true nature, I took out my smartphone. What are you doing? Seeing me operate the phone, Henry looked suspicious. I'm making a call. Just be quiet for a moment. After saying that, I dialed someone and quickly hung up. Seconds later, there was a knock on the hospital room door, and 4 women entered. Henry, you were married? Why are all of you here? We got a call from your wife. We've all been deceived by you, Henry. You said we couldn't get married now because you don't have money. That's why you wanted me to get an abortion, right? I was told we'd get married once your job situation settled, but for now, it was impossible, so I should get an abortion. That was a lie, wasn't it? They all berated Henry in unison. As I dug deeper, the affairs became clear. None of them knew Henry was married when they got involved with him. So, I contacted them and explained all about Henry's true nature. Then, they all expressed a desire for revenge. "Miranda, why are you doing this? You've been deceiving us all along, doing whatever you pleased, right? I got married and gave birth, but many had to give up on their pregnancies. Do you understand how painful that is?" I realized how cruel the choice to abort is after becoming pregnant. It must have been excruciating to part with a child they were carrying. "I can't forgive you for lying about marrying someday. Give me back my time." "Yes. I even told my parents I was seeing someone I considered marrying. We wanted to get married and have children too. What are you going to do about us?" Well. Henry, sweating profusely, shifted his eyes around. "You can't say you're not cheating anymore, can you?" At my words, Henry knelt down, crestfallen. "Henry, I had no idea you were such a cheater. Don't contact me ever again. Goodbye." "Wait, please." Henry watched the women leave the room with a sad look, seemingly still attached to his affairs. I sighed in disbelief at his expression, showing he still had feelings for his mistresses. "I don't want to raise a child with someone who cheats. Sign the divorce papers now." "Wait, you're leaving me too, Miranda? Didn't you say you loved me?" "I did love you, the person who didn't cheat. It couldn't be helped, I couldn't stop it. I got used to being pampered, and even when I made mistakes at work, everyone comforted and affirmed me." "Is that why you kept cheating?" I was exasperated by such a frivolous excuse. He had approached many women to boost his self-esteem, and not satisfied with just that, he impregnated them and then insisted on abortions. "I've paid for the abortions and even gave them gifts, isn't that enough? Even though I cheated, my feelings of love were not a lie." Henry started to mumble excuses, claiming that cheating wasn't such a big deal. I sighed again at his justifications. Henry didn't just betray our feelings. I took a deep breath, determined to make him realize the gravity of his actions. "It's not just about cheating, right? You've committed a crime, haven't you?" "A crime? I haven't done anything like that." "It's not a crime to have an abortion, is it?" "That's right, if it was just about convincing someone to give up their baby, it wouldn't be a problem. But there's more to it than that." As I spoke, the hospital room door slowly opened and two women entered. Seeing them, Henry's face turned deathly pale as he stepped back. "You know these two very well, don't you, Henry? Why are they here?" "The doctor here told me about her." Of course, it was confidential information, so I didn't ask for names or contact details. But when advised to get a divorce, they mentioned her situation to me. The two who entered were Sala Harada and her mother, Jolie. "Henry, you got Sala pregnant too, and then tried to make her get an abortion. But Sala wanted to keep the baby and caused a big commotion at the clinic, right? That's because of that commotion, everyone came to know about you." Sala was wearing the uniform of a high school in the city. It seems she was 16 years old at the beginning of the pregnancy. She is 16 years old now, but still a minor. The doctor advised that since engaging with a minor is illegal, it would be best to get a divorce before the situation escalated. "Why would you say that? I told you to keep quiet with money." Henry yelled loudly at Sala. Sala, appearing meek, shuddered and hunched her shoulders. Both Sala and her mother Jolie, also seeming gentle, were probably threatened by Henry to keep silent about the pregnancy and felt unable to resist. Sala's family was struggling financially as they were a single-mother household. After receiving money, they felt even more silenced. Sala was advised that it would be better for her future to have an abortion, and she reluctantly gave up on giving birth. However, Jolie told me that Sala still worries about it and has been unable to attend school much. Because of Henry, Sala's life has been turned upside down. He's a failure as an adult for not taking responsibility after getting involved. "Shut up. She came to me because I was just a little kind to her. It's not my fault." The moment you took action, you were at fault. Despite Henry's insistence that he was not at fault, it was clear that we were getting nowhere. So, I signaled to Jolie with my eyes. With trembling hands clenched tightly, she stood up and spoke out. "We will sue you, Henry. You must fully pay for the harm you caused to Sala."
What? Sue? What are you talking about? The act, the pregnancy, the abortion, it was all consensual, right? There's no way you can sue me.
Yes, you can be sued. In New York, if you engage with a minor under 17, even with consent, it's against the law. Henry's actions, statutory rape, is a criminal offense, and the penalties may include imprisonment, fines, probation, or mandatory counseling. When this was explained, Henry's face went pale.
No, wait. I didn't know that, and I paid money, right? Isn't that enough? How much will make you forgive me? Let's settle this.
We're not settling. We've already consulted a lawyer. Please stay away from my daughter from now on. In Jolie's arms, Sala was crying the entire time. Sometimes, I dream about the baby, crying and blaming me because I couldn't give birth to it. Seeing Sala cry so helplessly, I felt tears welling up in my own eyes. Yet, Henry was trying to solve everything with money, which was unforgivable. I will support Jolie and Sala. The other women who were deceived by you said they would help too, so be prepared. All this is your fault. Pay for your crimes and reflect on your actions. And divorce me, don't have anything to do with me anymore. Henry began to prostrate himself, begging for forgiveness.
I was wrong. Please forgive me. If I get divorced from Miranda, I'll be the laughingstock at my job. I was envied for having a beautiful and gentle wife.
You married me just to boast about it?
Of course. The other women were nice too, but they weren't as beautiful and couldn't cook well. Miranda was my ideal woman.
Disgusted to my core, I shook off Henry's hand. Enough. Do you realize how many people you've hurt with your selfish actions? I don't want to have anything more to do with a scoundrel like you. Get out.
Don't say that. We're married, aren't we? You're the only one for me.
Stop lying. I'll get the divorce and also claim alimony and child support, so be prepared.
Please don't leave me. I'll never agree to a divorce.
Henry's shouting was cut short as he was escorted out of the hospital by a male nurse and a security guard. Jolie and I immediately hired a lawyer. Henry was resistant to signing the divorce papers, but when threatened with court, he reluctantly agreed. We arranged for him to pay a lump sum for 20 years of alimony and child support, and the divorce was finalized. Jolie and Sala also hired a lawyer and apparently sued Henry in both criminal and civil court. Henry was arrested for violating the New York laws and sentenced to 2 years in prison. The fact that he caused a pregnancy increased the severity of the punishment. I've heard that he's also being sued for damages to cover Sala's mental health care. Even after his release, Henry will be burdened with a significant amount of debt, leading to a challenging life ahead, but it's all the result of his own actions. Now, I live with my daughter, supported by my parents. Even with my knowledge as a preschool teacher, raising a child for the first time was challenging. But every time I look at my daughter, I feel a surge of determination to do anything for her. Strangely enough, I still keep in touch with Henry's other mistresses. Once a month, we meet for lunch. And our conversations have evolved from bashing Henry to discussing unrelated matters and new romances. Everyone is moving on from Henry and starting new lives. Jolie occasionally joins these get-togethers, and I'm relieved to hear that Sala is now attending college and starting to enjoy a normal student life. They don't hold any grudges against me. Instead, they show concern for the challenges of being a single mother. I cannot forgive Henry for betraying these truly kind and wonderful women. However, it is also complicated by the fact that I am glad to have met these women. While our meeting wasn't under the best circumstances, I'm thankful for these lifelong friends. I'm committed to supporting them as they find happiness. and I'm determined to provide a good life for my daughter through my work, household duties, and parenting.